The Renaissance was a time of big change in Europe from the 1300s to the 1600s. It was called a rebirth because people started looking back at ancient Greek and Roman ideas about science, art, and learning. During this time, people began to question old beliefs and rely more on observation, evidence, and reasoning. Science became a big part of how people understand the world, and it changed art, literature, and philosophy forever. In the Middle Ages, most learning was controlled by the church, and people were taught to accept things based on faith or religious teachings. But during the Renaissance, scholars found old texts from Greek and Roman times that focused on logic, math, and the natural world. This led to a new way of thinking called humanism, which focused on human potential and achievements. With the invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg around 1440, books and scientific ideas could spread quickly and reach more people. This led to more innovations and the ability to develop much more quickly. Another major impact of the Renaissance was on education and how knowledge was shared. Before this period, education was mainly available to the wealthy or those in religious institutions. But as humanism spread, people began to believe that education should be more widely available and focused on a broad range of subjects, not just religion, but also history, literature, philosophy, and science. Universities expanded their curriculums, and more schools were opened throughout Europe. The printing press played a key role in this shift, making textbooks and scholarly works cheaper and easier to produce. As a result, literacy rates improved, and a growing number of people began to engage with new ideas, leading to an even faster spread of innovation and discovery across the continent. One of the most famous examples of science influencing art is Leonardo da Vinci. He wasn't just a great painter, he also studied the human body by dissecting corpses and drawing what he saw. This made his art much more realistic. His drawing, Vitruvian Man, shows how the body fits into geometric shapes, combining science and art. Artists also learned how to use math to create depth in paintings through a linear perspective, which made their work look much more three-dimensional and lifelike. The Renaissance also had a huge influence on architecture and engineering, blending science, math, and art in new ways. Architects like Filippino Brunelleschi used mathematical principles to design buildings with perfect symmetry, proportion, and balance, key ideals of the time. He famously engineered the massive dome of Florence Cathedral using a unique method that didn't require scaffolding, a major technological achievement. These innovations showed how Renaissance thinkers applied practical knowledge and scientific observations to solve complex problems. This approach not only transformed city skylines, but also inspired future generations of architects and engineers to combine creativity with scientific reasoning. Writers and thinkers were also influenced by scientific and logical ideas. Giovanni Pico della Mirandola wrote that humans have great potential and can shape their own futures. Niccolo Machiavelli studied politics by observing real leaders instead of following ancient rules. These writers showed that people could use reason and evidence, not just tradition, to understand the world and make decisions. Almost all paintings that were painted during the Renaissance used very warm colors, like red, yellow, and brown. This is due to many scientific, artistic, and cultural factors. During the 1300s to 1600s, the abundance of earthly tones and warm colors like orange was a driving force in the manufacturing of paintings. Many cooler colors were just harder and more expensive to obtain. Artists also used artistic techniques like chiaroscuro, the use of strong contrast between cool and warm colors, to dictate their art. There is much symbolism using warm colors as they are often associated with vitality, divinity, and human emotion. Science itself also changed a lot. Nicholas Copernicus, for example, showed that the Earth goes around the Sun, not the other way around. This was a huge challenge to what the Church taught. Galileo Galilei built a telescope and saw moons orbiting Jupiter, which supported Nicholas's idea. Andreas Vesalius studied the human body and corrected many old ideas with detailed drawings. These discoveries encouraged people to trust observation and experience over what they were told. In conclusion, the Renaissance was more than just a time of beautiful paintings and new books. It was a time when science helped people think differently. Artists used science to make their work more realistic, writers used reason to ask new questions, scientists observed the world and changed how we see it. The Renaissance reminds us that when we ask questions and explore the world around us, we can make amazing discoveries.